Hello, today is December 15th, 2018, and the time is 2:53 p.m. This video I'm going to start replying to or answering comments to my videos. So if you have any comments or questions, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be replying to them via video, and that way there's more interaction between people who comment and myself. I'm going to be cropping out names, not that it's going to be difficult for anyone to figure out, to find who made a comment or a question, but I'm just doing that out of respect because I don't have people's permission to use their names. So in this video I'm going to be touching up on 3 different topics. The first topic is going to be a comment that someone was kind enough to leave. The second is going to be an article written by a lawyer in my province of origin. Someone had sent me an article that they wrote, and I'll get into that when I discuss that. And the third part is the genetic hierarchy, which a lot of people seems to rub them wrong, but I'll get into that as well. So I'd like to begin by reading this comment: that you are able to share your story helps others, even if you don't see it yourself. And some of these types of people who would just take her side off the bat from the largely just slanted narratives they heard actually are beginning to realize that things like what happened to you is a problem as well. You might not see it, but I've watched as people change their position on things and recognize how both sexes can be and are victimized as they realize that false accusations are a real problem as well. I'm truly sorry this happened to you, but thank you for sharing your story. We may not share the same religion, but I pray for justice and true healing in you and those involved in your case. So I just made a few notes with regards to that comment. As I've said, a lot of people have given me a lot of positive feedback with sharing my story. They found strength through that, knowing that, for example, they're not the only ones experiencing something, and the fact that I'm willing to put my face, my voice to my story, share evidence of this, apparently has given people that strength. And a lot of people, because this has been going on, I'm going into my 6th year, have found me as an inspiration. I'm just trying to generalize a bunch of comments into a descriptive word. The fact that I'm able to endure what I've been enduring, and I keep going and I keep fighting, and although I've shared a lot of the negative side of my emotions, that's more just to show that the impact that this type of thing happens, or how it impacts people when this type of thing happens. And I think it's important because a lot of people don't want to share that because it's embarrassing, and it's embarrassing to me too, and I'm a very private person. So that's been a real struggle. Now, one of the things, there's actually a couple of things that comment that I just read reminded me of. And the first part, or the first example, is several months after this all happened to me on May 4th, 2013, there was an attempted break-in where I was living at the time, and the homeowner was upstairs. And I had, my room was in the basement, but it was like a walkout basement, and there was a sliding door and a couple of windows. And it was late at night, and I heard some commotion and talking just outside of the window. Anyway, the long story short, I thought I'd go in and investigate, and I opened the sliding door and I peeked around the corner a bit, and there was probably about 7 or 9 I would say like adult teenagers that age, late teens, hanging out, and it appears that they were trying to get in through the window, but they didn't realize that that window was my bedroom window. and the lights were off, obviously, so they didn't think anyone was in there. So I was startled to see them, all of them, and I guess they were startled too. So I had shut the door, the sliding door, real quick, and yelled up to the homeowner to call the police, and said there's some people trying to get into the house. And a lot of police had shown up, and I guess they were on the main street, and then in the back of the house there was an alleyway, and so police were just everywhere. And I had run out the front door because as soon as the police showed up, they scattered, and hopping fences and going into a neighbor's backyard, and I was directing the police there, and anyway, they were caught. And during that, there was a female there who was, I heard her yelling to the cops that these guys are holding her at knife point, which is not true, because what I heard when I heard her talking through the window, she was actually the leader of this pack, telling them, you know, what to do and everything else. So she wasn't a victim, but it was interesting how she was crying she was a victim anyway. What I found interesting was, and the police knew exactly who I was, no question about it. They didn't even take a statement from me or anything. Like, the police in the city are avoiding me with things that I've helped the communities out with. They just don't want to talk to me. But anyway, the officer said to me, to my face, something to the effect of, "They all lie, don't they?" And I looked at him because I was surprised that he said that, but I knew exactly through his body language and his words what he was saying. And I looked at him and I said, "Yes, they do." And as it turned out, there was a big magnum of some sort of liquor. I don't know if it was vodka or whatever, or whiskey. A magnum is a huge, big bottle. And apparently they had just robbed a liquor store down the street prior to coming to this house. So I helped them. I found the bottle that they stashed, because as they were trying to round up the rest of them, I found the bottle and I took it to one of the officers, and he said to me, "Good find." And they were it was very pleasant. I helped them out, but I found that very interesting how they were telling me this. And there was actually, on a side note from that, there was a time where I had to go to the same district and talk to a police about an accident, and the officer behind the counter, I had to show my ID and everything, and the officer had come back and said something which didn't make sense, but it was an opportunity for this officer to make the comment, "You have to be careful because of a couple of jerks out there." And she was looking at me, telling me something, and I'll never forget that. Now, the second example that ties into the comment that I just read has to do with I know somebody who was at a party who apparently was falsely accused by a drunk female. As the story goes, and I'm not going to get into much detail, the female got so drunk, the husband just left the party, ticked off with her because she was, flirting and whatever was going on. I wasn't there, and nobody ever thought anything of it. And I guess 3 or 4 hours later, police had knocked on this person's door, saying that the female was accusing this person of a sexual assault or attempted sexual assault, but the story had changed like 5 or 6 times in the minutes that they were talking to this female. It started off was, yes, there was an attempted rape, to, well, I thought maybe this person might have, and this person wasn't the only person accused of stuff that, but anyway, if I remember correctly, that female was being charged for something else. So this is how this all transpired. So my point to this is how the local police had actually talked to this person who was being accused. And although there was nothing to it, they assured this person that there's nothing to the allegation. There's not even going to be an investigation. This person is actually being charged, and then I think there's other charges being compounded on top of that, false report or something. Whatever. I don't know. This is going back several years. So I find that interesting how, in my case, no one wanted to speak to me or talk to me about it. For example, the police, and everything was a big secret and everything else. And it seems, they've kind of changed that in the city. I don't know. It appears that way. So over the years that I've been sharing my story and making this story known to other government agencies and other people and everything else, there appears to be a rise in attention being drawn to the local police as well as the courts. And I'm not going to discuss the court end of it with what government agencies are doing what or anything. I really don't know too much because they're not disclosing much to me, right? Because everything's a secret. But anyway, so, and I'm not taking absolute credit for the local police and the courts for the attention that has risen with them, but who knows what impact I've had. 'Cause apparently no one has gone to the extreme that I have throughout this ordeal. So anyway, thank you for the person who shared that comment. I really appreciate the positive comments. And the negative comments, I really don't care about. Possibly sometimes people legitimately have their own opinion on whatever. I don't care, or they're just being trolls. What a waste of life, but whatever. So the second thing that I want to discuss is an article that this lawyer had written. So I'm just going to focus on the second paragraph. So I'm not going to read the whole article. It's pretty long and I want to save time. I'm just going to focus on the second paragraph. It reads, "The charges came during a low point in your life and were some unfortunate combination of poor decision making, bad luck, alcohol or substance abuse, fragile mental health, greed or rage. And after your case was finally resolved in court, regardless of the outcome, you probably went through a further period of low mood, poor self-esteem, fractured relationships, and or financial hardship." Now my focus on that paragraph, and I'm not saying that the lawyer who wrote this had any ill intent, good intentions, but with the wording of combination of, and there is the phrase bad luck, but a combination of, in the examples given, implies that people who are accused may have done something wrong, and that's the problem in society, as most people automatically default to, well, they must have did something wrong to draw attention to them. And the fact is, as with my case, sometimes people have done nothing wrong across the board. In my particular case, I went to work, minded my own business, had issues with the that executive director, and whatever. But I just did my thing, and out of the clear blue sky, I didn't even see it coming. A female attendee who I only ever had a limited professional working relationship with accused myself and another male co-worker of some sort of sexual assault. I don't even know to this day, because again, no one wanted to talk to me then or to this day about it. And when I put in requests for information, everything's redacted. So anyway, I discussed this more in other videos. But this article, when you read it, and again, I'm sure the lawyer has no ill intent or trying to. What it shows is, even at the subconscious level, how people make an assumption that somebody accused must have did something, and it's wrong. And hopefully, as with the comment that I had read, people are waking up to the fact that, well, hang on a second, there's all these cases, and my case really shows not only the impact of a false accusation and how the social justice warrior mindset, while in a position of authority, leads to police brutality, which really messes people's lives up. It just, that was my whole point of the article. And again, I'm not criticizing the article or the lawyer. I'm just simply sharing an observation there. So the third and final point of this video I'd like to make is about the genetic hierarchy. And I've talked about in other videos the alpha, beta, and omega males and females, and what feminism is truly about, and this incel movement, what it's truly about. Now, within each genetic group, there is a hierarchy of a sub-alpha and a sub-beta, which would be best described as a natural-born leader, for example. Not everyone is a natural-born leader. It's nothing that you can really learn. You can mimic it, and in schools they teach people, how to mimic, for example, projecting a voice. When you're talking, you look firm and you project your voice, talk loud and, almost automated. But that doesn't make that person a leader. You cannot learn what comes naturally. Even comes, for example, with healers. There are some people who are really good at caring, healing, whether it be physically or simply emotionally, talking to someone. There are some people who just have that natural ability. Other people may want to be like that, and they try to learn that, and they get a degree, and that they base their whole identity on a piece of paper saying, yes, I am a healer, physically or, say, emotionally. And we can even add, for example, spiritually too. There's a lot of people who are just wiser. Their wisdom, their knowledge base is such where in their character, they're better spiritual advisors. But yet there's people who want to be, or they believe that they're a healer or a spiritual advisor, and they get a piece of paper, and in today's world, that qualifies them. And that's why we see a lot of times where a doctor, a real doctor, is not as good as, say, as someone else. And we see this in other professions as well. I mean, you pick a profession, whether it be an automotive mechanic or whatever. I mean, just because you have qualified on paper for something doesn't mean that genetically, So where we see this, where you could support this in your own conclusion, is we oftentimes hear, for example, the weakest link sets the standard. Or it only takes one stupid person and laws are changed or whatever. And then from there, it has progressed to the point of ridiculous, where somebody makes a mistake, an honest mistake, and I'm not trying to minimize this following example. Say there's an accident and a life is lost or whatever, and then all of a sudden everyone's, well, we got to make the world safer. The world's not a safe place. Everything has the right to life, but survival's not a right, and sometimes mistakes do happen. But putting that aside, yes, our social standards is based on the weakest link, and that's why, and they have become the majority, and they want equality. They want to be more than what they are, what they're capable of. Everyone has potential, but not everyone has ability. And that applies to anything, any topic. So I just want to brief that real quick to make a point. And really, all these three points that I've made, they all tie in together. And I've discussed this plenty in other videos, and I'm not going to ramble on, but anyway, I think I've made my point with all three. Again, thank you for the person who made that comment, and thank you for the lawyer who wrote that article. Again, this is not a criticism, just an observation of one part of the article. And yes, there's a lot more. Feel free to find the article and read it. And I'm not criticizing betas and omega, male or females, nor am I putting alpha males and females on the pedestal. That's just life. That's just the way things are. So again, if you have a comment and it's a good comment, I'll try to respond to it in a video. If you have any questions, I will be responding to questions via video. I don't know how long it would take me to put the video together, but just bear with me. So I'm going to do that. And thank you for watching my videos and your comments and your support. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Peace to everyone.